He's a repeat visitor. He's been on the program now, I think, 9,000 times. And we like every visit that he has with us. And please welcome back Ari Goldkind taking a seat. And then, Jay, actually, if you could give Strobel your seat, that'd be great. And then, Jay, you stand up. Strobel, Mike Strobel, writer for the Toronto Sun is here.
Thank
Mike
you,
Strobel. Yes, how are you?
Thank you, Jay. Can you hear me? I feel like Liza Minnelli.
Was that a new clap noise? Oh, I like the old one.
Well, I was just going to say he got applause.
I did?
No, it's for both of you.
Oh, okay.
Where's the old clapping sound? Is that gone? Yeah, I want to hear the... listen, we used to have an old... I don't like the new one. It sounds too exciting, like a rock show. I like the old one. It was more like... Yeah. Can you find the old one? Here, listen to this. This is for you, Ari, okay? Ari Goldkind.
Okay, I'm ready.
Right here. Right here. Here you go, buddy.
Oh, that's what it sounds like when I go into Ford Nation. It's the exact sound.
How you doing, Mike Strobel?
Actually, the sound when you go into Ford Nation, Ari, is boo.
Yeah, but I like that. But I like that, Mike. See, Todd will tell you that I actually welcome that.
So before we start, I just want to say, Mike, thank you for joining us again on the program. And I just want to also personally thank you for writing an article on Ms. Barbie Bitch where you included us and hanging out with us and giving the show a little bit of extra promotion right in your newspaper, The Sun. So honestly, thanks so much for doing that.
And I think I spelled your name right, Todd.
Yeah, that's the old adage, right? Get me in the media as long as you spell my name right. I don't care what you say about me.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, you had some nice things to say about the show and really talked about the show for what it is, where it's a bit uncensored, a bit in your face, and fun at times. And I just thought that was very, very cool of you to do.
It was fun. It was a great hour or two.
And you chose a great picture of Barbie's boobs. That was.
Took a special lens, that did. Yeah, a special lens.
They photoshopped where your hands were. It's pretty interesting, Mike. You got good editors there.
Yeah, you put them around me. They weren't there. They weren't there.
Yeah, my girlfriend was a bit of a critic of that picture too, actually.
Hey, it's all anything. You know, this is our livelihood. So you tell your girlfriend, Mike, that you got to put dinner on the table, right?
Or hands on boobs. Yeah, exactly.
So how are things going with you, Mike? And are you? I mean, every day you're writing columns essentially on this mayoral race here in Toronto. What's new in your world?
Oh God, election. Hey, Ari? I'm looking forward to 2018 when this guy runs again. That's what I'm looking forward to. Monday it's over. It's done. Finished. And we're start writing about life and all that kind of stuff again.
But this stuff, right, Mike, sells papers, and people want to know. People want to know your opinion. People want to know the way you have different angles on stories. You really get interpersonal with these people. How are the Fords doing? I know that you hung out with Doug recently.
Well, you know what? They are. I think Doug is in trouble. I think the last time I was here, I figured he'd be, almost neck and neck on election day, and he seems to run out a bit of steam. He hasn't quite got that kind of finishing kick that I thought he'd have. I still think it's going to be close. Hey, Ari, I think on Monday it's going to be a lot closer than people realize. But if I'm going to bet my house, it's going to be on Tory.
Wow, we have Ari Goldkind here. Obviously an underdog, a long shot, but someone who's definitely making headlines. A competing paper of yours, Mike, obviously the Toronto Star, talked about this great transit plan that he had. Mike, have you had an opportunity to see what Ari's put out there?
You mean the $57 billion transit? You mean that one? $57 billion, Ari. My goodness. That's like the national debt, isn't it? Practically.
You let me know when I'm good to go, because I'll go.
Oh no, Ari, yeah. So Ari, I mean, you released this plan. That paper called it epic, and I know it's something you're very proud of.
Yep.
Obviously, it took a backseat to the bigger, more important story, really, which is our fallen soldiers. But with that being said, we know that we're all paid our respects, and we continue to do so. But let's talk about that plan that you have out there that really, it did get a ton of attention.
Yeah, and it still is, and I'm really, really proud of it. And let's just because Mike will tell you. I mean, he knows me. I'll deal with anything head on. I'm not going to pivot. $57 billion not only reflects the cost of all the new builds, but if you look into the 21 pages, and I get that it's not the usual read of my usual stuff, but if you go through the 21 pages, what we also do, Todd, and this is something that, you really have to do. We talk about what it actually costs to operate and maintain the system. So you hear all these promises of subways, and smart tracks just to build them. We actually factor into the cost for 25 years. What does it cost to operate the system? Because right now in Toronto, and you know this, and Mike, I'm sure you've actually written about this, the TTC is so in the hole for the existing system, not all the stuff that we need to buy, that I thought to myself, and I had experts say, let's actually put it all in. So the $57 billion reflects the total over about 20, 30 years of operating it.
So what you're doing is when people go and buy a car, for example, in layman's terms, and they say it's $19,999. Next thing you know, you want leather seats, you want air conditioning, you want whatever, your oil change is included, comes to $27,000.
Right.
So you're just saying people, this is the package. You're going to have no surprise costs at the end of it all.
Yeah, and the reason, and I'll tell you this, and I'm sure Mike will appreciate this, whether he agrees or not, because I'll get into this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The Star is
How about 11 minutes?
Okay, 11 minutes. Let's do 9. No, but as Mike will tell you, the Star is not out to do me any favors. The Star clearly backs other candidates, but for the Star to call my plan epic, doable, affordable, like all of this, you have to understand is because we did what you just said, Todd, because this city builds nothing, and everybody's sort of full of beans about what the things cost, we overestimated. Like, there are a lot of people who've looked at this and said, you could have gone down a few billion. What's $1 billion here or two, Mike? Right? But that's the way our city works, which is nothing is ever costed properly. So if you look out your window, Todd, we're in Liberty Village. This is one of the most underserved areas in Toronto for transit. But we decided to be extra careful.
Here's the problem with that. If we talk about this for 11 minutes, that's $5 billion a minute, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
and that's a lot of money. And I think Ari, points to Ari for being honest. He's putting it out there. He's not BSing anybody. But he's also, he doesn't have a chance in hell of winning. So it's not like he's sticking his neck out too much. It's actually a very detailed plan from what I've seen of it. But $57 billion, and a lot of that's tax money.
No, well, that's
a lot of it.
No,
which is honest.
Yeah.
Which is being honest about it. If we want to go that route, to me, you're going to spend the money. You do what everybody does at home. You got to spend some money on X. Well, you're going to have to cut from Y, and in this city, there's lots of Y to be cut.
So can I take from that, Todd? Because you know my passions about this. So here's the thing, and Mike will tell you this because he knows this statistic. He also knows my day job. Our funding target by 2022, and this is not meant to be boring, because for listeners listening to this, I want this to be I never thought of it this way moment. The target of transit, which we need to get to where I want to go and bring the other 3 levels of government, is $1 billion a year, every year municipally. Now, you might say, holy mackerel, where do you get that billion from? That's an insane number. Well, Todd, guess how much we pay in policing every year in this city? $1 billion. So my view, and people can agree, people can disagree, I'm putting it out there, if we can spend $1 billion a year to police people now, by 2022, we should be able to spend $1 billion to move people around.
Well, actually, now we're kind of on the same wavelength here, believe it or not. Because,
hold on.
You know what?
The segment's over.
Do you know what Toronto's operating budget is? You know this, Ari.
Yeah.
It's about $10 billion.
That's right. A little bit more than that.
$10 billion a year is what our operating. And if we can't cut 10% out of that, which is what, $1 billion.
Yeah.
Then we're not. Somebody's not doing their job. And I tell you, I've spent enough time at City Hall, way too much lately. To know that there's lots of I believe they used to call it gravy train. There's lots of that nonsense down there, and I tell you, if we can't take 10% out of that place and then spend that on, subways and I wouldn't say LRTs, but rapid transit and even improving roads. People who got to drive like us who tried to get here on time. And actually. Not rob from Peter to pay Paul, but take from the existing fat and use it for something useful, which in this case is transit.
With the transit plan you have, Ari, and with the bad roads that we're experiencing now, and with more immigration, more people moving downtown, and all this stuff, more big companies moving here, so there's more jobs downtown, which will make people move down here as well. Do you think this problem can ever actually be solved about people moving around fairly freely in Toronto? Do you actually think it's viable?
1,000,000%. And I say this, Mike, and I'm waiting for Mike. I bet you Mike travels. I know, Todd, you travel. So I'm a person who thinks that the conversation that the top 3, for lack of a better term, it's myopic. It's all Toronto. This is what we do in Toronto. Anybody who looks broader, you look at cities that have populations 5, 10, 15 times ours. They're doing all the things that I'm recommending, but in Toronto, as soon as you say it, people have that sort of knee-jerk reaction. I could go on longer about this, but absolutely. When you actually...
What cities would example...
you can use any city in Italy. You can use Florence, Rome, Milan. Milan's a great example. If you take your car into the central core, and Milan is an extremely congested city, there's a difference between being congested. You want a city to actually be congested and have traffic, because it's a sign that things are moving and people want to be there. What you don't want is a paralyzed city. And if I judge this city's traffic by the times you all got here today, this is a city that's paralyzed. And there's a big difference between that. So you look at Paris, you look at London, and by the way, if you want to look closer to home, Mike will tell you this, look at Vancouver.
Look at New York City. I find it easier to get around New York City than I do this town.
Well, New York, the key is New York is you just get on the subways. That's all. I mean, any idiot would just say drive, try and get from 48th to uptown or whatever, or downtown. But I mean, for you get on a subway, so it's just simple trains. It's simple lines.
It took me the other day. It took me. Ari and I were talking about this earlier. It took me 59 minutes to get from Harbourfront Center to Adelaide and University, which according to Google should take 3 minutes. It took me 56, I think exactly 56 minutes. That is ridiculous.
And getting east to west in the city between 2 and 5 o'clock on a Saturday. Was the marathon going on down there?
Nothing.
No? Okay.
But construction site after construction site and that whole time, I saw exactly zero construction workers.
We were just talking about that.
Not a single guy. So basically, these roads are all constricted and everything else for no. And all these empty, it's just ridiculous.
Well, the fact that construction probably won't ever end here, and the buildings are going up the most cranes in North America right now, sitting here in Toronto. Yeah. I mean, maybe Mexico City has more, but could you think there's is there a solution to this? Because my fear is this, Ari, and I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I don't care what transit plan is out there. I just think we're fucked for a very long time. I can't see it ever getting better. And a lot of you mentioned those other cities. The thing is with those other cities, what kind of budgets do they have, and when did they build them? They built them probably on the way up.
Actually, let's go to that for a second. Let's use Calgary, Vancouver, let's use Paris, and let's use London. All cities that are on the radar. And Mike will tell you this, because when you use New York, a lot of people they'll say, well, New York is very dense on an island, so it's a lot easier to have that density. I mean, my plan talks about the New York, but let's think of Paris. Most people have wanted to go to Paris or dream of Paris. Paris is laid out in a very sprawling way, very similar to Toronto. You know that Toronto sort of goes out and out. It's not located in one thing. If anybody here has ever gone to Paris, what's the last thing they would ever do? Rent a car. That's an important thing. When you come to Toronto, you obviously are going to rent a car. When you build transit all over in the rapid transit way that I am, and Mike and I can talk about subways, LRTs, streetcars, buses. To me, that's a conversation that is actually less interesting than the one about actually building something, because the only thing that matters to somebody who's sitting waiting for a bus and freezing their Todd Shapiro term off is that...
What, you can't say ass?
Well,
you can't say...
I can say it next week.
Okay, you can't say hairy asshole? You can't...
That's where was Jay? There's a Tinder story there. I'm still on the Tinder story from Monday.
Actually,
where's Jay back there?
I think Doug used that term in one of the debates, didn't he? Something like that?
He actually called me that. But anyway, so in any event, you do all of this stuff with transit, and when you say it can't be done and we're effed and all of this, don't forget, transit is one part, but I have a whole bunch of platform and policy on congestion fees and tolls, and people hear tolls. I guarantee you, can't have tolls. John Tory, Olivia Chow, and Doug Ford say no tolls. But if you're stuck on the Don Valley parking lot right now listening to Sirius, and you're stuck in traffic.
He's good, eh, Strobel? Like he gets. He's good.
It's like he's running for mayor or something.
But here's the thing, Mike. Todd will tell you this is what I'm like 5 years ago. So if you're sitting on the DVP on the parking lot right now, which many of your listeners, it's 4:15, they're just about to leave their
100%,
office.
100%. Yeah.
So if you sat there and said, you don't, do you want tolls? Most people would say, no way, I can't pay it. I'm this, I'm that. If I said to you, if you put a toonie right now into the city's coffers, because it doesn't go to Petro-Canada or Esso, because that's where your money's
we
going
talked about this. You'll save money on gas and all this stuff.
And it goes to the city. So to me, this is a conversation, whether people agree or disagree, the three musketeers are not having. This is a conversation we should be having, because right now, nobody is moving.
Well, the other thing too is time is money, and everybody knows that.
Right,
and the more time you lose, and when the police change the laws, rightfully so, of not being able to talk while driving, a lot of people could justify by at least I'm making phone calls, getting business deals done, doing whatever. But you know what? And I understand why that's illegal, because there are too many accidents and too many people distracted drivers. So I listen, for a toonie, for me, it's part of the reason why I stayed downtown is because I'm always a procrastinator and almost late as it is anyway, not only for the show but for all my meetings, that I had to buy a home that I could barely afford, because if I can't I can't travel in traffic. Right. It would mean the end of my business, honestly. Right. So I understand what you're doing. I just hope it's actually viable in terms of the amount of people coming downtown, and I hope we can keep up to speed with that, whatever plan we choose, because we're just so many years behind. I think it's the urban planners from the day who should be blamed, not the ones who are currently trying to fix it.
We should have been building like a 1 kilometer of subway every year for the last 30 years, and we'd be fine. We wouldn't even be talking about this. But you know what? The first thing to do is fix what we got. What we need is some guy with a baseball bat. Call him whatever you want.
Jay Brody.
Traffic czar. Yeah. Jay looks like he could do the job. And then just he's in charge of saying, okay, we got the X number of construction sites, we got X number of marathons, we got X number of this and X number of that. Let's make sure we're not, doubling up and causing double traffic jams and everything. Coordinate it so that we don't have a situation where it takes 56 minutes to get, 2.5 blocks. Organize it, run it. Some guy with the authority to go in there and start shooting.
And here, and Mike and I were talking about this because, Todd, I think you and I have talked about this on the air. When I was on in March, I literally put this on my website in March. Anybody in this room, and you've got like 7 guys in this room right now, drive by a construction site.
We need some chicks, I think.
Oh, where's Anna? Where's Anna? Anyway.
Yeah, she heard Strobel is coming in. She's worried. No,
speaking of chicks, you know why this guy's, I know this guy's good. I met him when he was representing Miss Toronto Tourism, who had been charged with weapons. She was caught with a Glock.
Oh, no way.
And he got her off.
Yeah.
So wow,
how did she pay you?
This guy knows what he's doing.
How'd you get her off, Ari?
Can I answer that question on Tuesday? Tuesday, October 28th.
That's a legal term, and I'm sticking to it.
But let's go back. I like that, and by the way, and it's very true. It's the first article Mike wrote about me. But let's go to the 7 guys. I say this out loud, and it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with me. It doesn't matter. Drive by a construction site in Toronto, whether it be on a highway, DVP, 401, a street that isn't a residential street. How many times do you see 5, 10, 15 men at work there for more than 6 minutes? You go to any other city, Todd, Mike, any other city. You go to Mexico. Mike and I were just talking about a highway they built in Playa del Carmen. 3 shifts of 8 hours, floodlights up, 24-hour shifts. I'm telling you that if people saw this city under construction, but they saw people working their posteriors off to actually build something, most human beings can dial down the rage a little bit and say, yeah, I'm a little bit stuck here, but look.
At least I'm not doing this hard work that, the guys try to build up our city here.
And we don't have that here. I think it's a huge issue because as much as people say, like, Mr. Tory says and, says all the time, well, we've got construction and we don't close the Gardner at the lakeshore at the right time. If you see people working like crazy, most humans will say, because I'm trying to have these conversations where people don't have the knee-jerk reaction, I'm okay being stuck in traffic, like even at Eglinton where you get on the Allen, it's terrible. But I know that in a year or 6 months, you're going to have 2 more lanes, you're going to have so it dials back the rage.
Understanding that there's a means to an end.
That's right.
Mike Strobel, are you impressed with Ari Goldkind in terms of being?
I'm going to back up.
No, I got to ask you because we
I like Ari.
We have Olivia Chow, who's sort of like I just think now at this point she's like polling less and less every day. I don't know. That's from what I hear.
The other day I called her the latest fringe candidate. So
that warms the cockles of my heart.
Ari's moved into third place, right. I think.
Well, you know what the thing is about Olivia Chow, which I can't stand. She's the one getting on the smear campaign more than anybody. Yeah. And you think for someone who's so utopian and let's all live in like a land of roses and chocolate and stuff, that she would take a more sort of sincere humility approach. What's the word I'm looking for? Humility approach, like an
humble
approach. Yeah. And anyway, so I'm shocked by that. But in terms of, do you think Olivia? What do you think she's done wrong, Mike?
Well, she ran. I think
that's a very succinct answer.
That was her first mistake, or she opened her mouth. Maybe if she'd run and not open her mouth, she'd probably still be in second place anyway. But no,
that's a pretty easy article to write. Like that. 2 words, you're done.
Exactly. Doesn't take up much space either. Lots of room for ads. But you know what? I think. But
Olivia Chow, she ran.
But most people who know Olivia, I mean, you can't dislike Olivia. I mean, she's kind of a sweet lady, but you know what? You could tell right away, and most people in Orr knew that she was, because don't forget she started off. She was way ahead of Ari.
I was just going to say to you, she started off with the biggest buzz ever. I'll let you finish the story because I really don't get into it. But where you're going,
you were
exactly
running back
right.
then, and it was like she was like the prohibitive favorite almost at one point, and look where she is now. She and Ari are battling out for
Well, I know. I
the
might get
bronze
5
medal.
votes or 500. But let me. Can I ask a question of Mike and you? And
Well,
Todd?
first, before that, I also want to ask Mike about his thoughts on you not being included in these final
okay,
debates.
good. Please.
Obviously, I think you know a little bit of the backstory. Doug came up to Ari and was like, "Hey, dude, listen, if you're going to be in these debates, I'm not going to come, and everyone wants me there because I'm, one of the front two." So, kind of a bit of a bully move from what I see it. Do you think that was a way of Doug saying, "I'm kind of threatened by this guy, even though I know I won't lose, but I'll lose some votes to him, maybe"?
Well, there was one debate in particular where you had the run-in and where he said, what are you even doing on the stage? I think it was to
that was the second night, not even the night that went into the craziness.
Yeah, because you were at the arts debate, right, Ari?
Yeah, the arts debate was the first, which was pretty gentle. The second was on a Wednesday where I brought out what.
Is that the Jewish Community Center?
No.
Oh.
That's the last one. So that was the final straw. The
right.
first one was the arts debate. That was gentle. I didn't go at him. The second one, he gave a horrible answer to some young lady. So I said, the answer was a typical this. The second night I said what Ford spells, which is falsify, overstate, repeat, deny. The third night he launches into me what I do for a living, and then that was the chat debate where I gave him a real softball. Mike, I'm sure Mike looked at the tape. I said basically just apologize for your brother and off we go and move on. And I proceeded to learn about who he employs as a doctor, a dentist, and an accountant. And
they're all Jews, man. They're all Jews. Yeah, so is his wife's family, even though they're in Catholic cemeteries. But they're all Jews.
My wife's Jewish.
Yeah,
I'm not even married. I say that on camera. My wife's Jewish, guys. Just ignore everything else I've said for 100 episodes. Please. My wife, she's Jewish. Great woman. God bless her.
But Mike, are you surprised that a guy who really is one of the top two favorites, and while his ship seems to be sinking this last final week, are you surprised by that reaction?
No, that's the Ford style. It always has been. I mean, they're kind of they're kind of what's the word? Rough and tumble gutter kind of politicians, and that's just their style. That's they've always been that. Ari's not the first one who's run afoul of that. I mean, the contrary view would say, okay, if I'm the voter, I want to take a look at the 3 people who have a chance of actually winning, and I want to see them in a debate because as much as I like Ari and David Sugnacki and even Karen Stintz, they never had a hope. So they're up there essentially kind of taking time out of the debate, I guess, and that's that's the sort of the opposing view. But I think in 2018, I think the final 3 will include the guy to my right here.
Well, those are strong words, man. And
I appreciate that.
This world is obviously, Canada especially, or I should say, is a democracy. And to be left out of a debate doesn't, to me, feel like we're really having that democratic process. I do, on one hand, understand that, people are there to see the top 3, and we really want to hear as much. There's limited times we want to hear from the top 3.
Right.
But I agree with you wholeheartedly that what this guy has done is put himself on the radar somehow, this guy being Ari Goldkind, and he continues to do so. And I always encourage you because it's so inspiring to a lot of people. And I'm not really even very political here. We're party agnostic on the program.
Me neither.
But but you've inspired me personally, and that's why I always have you back here on the program. And Mike, that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it really just shows that an underdog who is informed and intelligent and not afraid to speak his opinion and not just say, oh yeah, we got to legalize marijuana, man, and hang out in trees. We're not these type of guys running for mayor. You're really making a difference, and that's why in 2018 there is a chance for you to be in the top 3, and I don't think you should stop. What would happen if someone comes up to you today and says, Ari Goldkind, we need your endorsement for this, or this person, because it'll help take away that 4% of the vote, which might make a big difference right now?
You know what? It's a great question. I've got a whole bunch of emails asking me that, and I don't even, your question is like just omniscient because I've thought about that a lot. And the answer is, I think why I've gotten where I've gotten, and Mike's point is very well taken, actually. I actually don't disagree with Mike that people really should hear the people debate who they know can win. But to me, there's a chicken and egg question, which is what happens if I'm on that stage and not blackballed, because then people might go, wait a minute, because you were talking about Ms. Chow, it's a chicken and egg. I don't have $2 million to do this. So,
but you're paying. But all right, you're paying your dues. You're doing it the right way. You're paying your dues. This is like round 1. If you want to pursue it, you now are on the radar.
Look, Tory's lost 3 big elections. So
but I want to answer your question. No, because your question. But Mike's point is one that I understand. I don't think the 60 people who pay $200 to go to City Hall have any right being on a debate stage. And if they don't agree with me, then they can flame me. But I think I've earned it there, and it's that chicken and egg thing. But to your question, about what I would.
By the way, way, I kind of agree with the paying your dues thing because you're just this new guy. You're this new guy, but you're this new guy that people know. And you were the smart. You've been smart because you haven't bitched, you haven't complained, you haven't attacked, you haven't gone after what Doug said to you. You haven't made it a big news story, which I'm sure you could have. You could have made it a lot bigger of a news story.
You have no idea.
No, I do have an idea. I'm in the media. I know exactly. Listen, I could sit here and try and pull your teeth out of it, but there's no point because you're a respectful guy who has integrity and I think is looking at the bigger picture.
And two things. You've seen my videos, and even in my videos, I talk about the city that I would design and create if I had the reins, because to me it's about leadership. But number two, you know, to go back again to your question,
yeah, please,
about paying dues, but also the paying dues. Like, there is a point to that about paying dues, but here's what I say. These three have 74 years of experience between them. There's no doubt.
Olivia looks like she's got 90 just by herself. Anyway, okay.
But the point. No,
I'm just mad because she hasn't come on the program and I've reached out a bunch of times.
Well, I'll talk to her. No,
she's taught me how to do smear campaigns very well.
But Todd, as you know, and Mike will tell you, and people don't really think of it this way, they have 74 years of experience between them. They've paid their dues, and that experience has got us the city that's in the mess that we have now. So to me, it's time to hit the reset button. But would I endorse somebody? It's very tough for me because I think what people respect and trust about what I've done is that I actually say what I believe. I don't do anything for political gain. You know, Todd, I could have pulled 30,000 stunts in the last 6 months that would have gotten me so much publicity, so much attention. And we've talked about this, and it's not who I am. I don't care if it doesn't get me attention or votes. Mike will tell you I've never done anything. I won't kiss a baby for a vote. So it would be very difficult for me. Like, in my mind, would I be willing to support somebody who's got the vote and help them if they asked me? Yes, but it would be very, very tough for me. And again, I'm not sure what'll happen, but it'd be very tough for me who believes that those three don't have a vision on issues that matter.
Then you shouldn't endorse any of them.
But that's what I'm giving you, the thought process. I feel like I'm on a couch about to lie down and go, let me go through my thoughts.
Come on, endorse Doug Ford. Just do it.
Give
me a call.
Well, I can tell you, if you want to know something, I might endorse him before somebody you were just talking about. So there you go.
Doug has an endorsement. He said Subway so many times in the last debate. I was waiting for the sandwiches to come out.
It's like Happy Gilmore all over again. Yeah.
Jared came. They brought out assorted. It was a wonderful day.
No, I mean, Mike, would you give it any advice, being a guy who's written about politics for years and years, a former editor of the Toronto Sun, of course, see Mike Strobel on page 6 often. Yep. You're always on page 6, right? Is that where they put you?
I move around.
Page 3 sometimes?
I'm like Ari, I move around.
Well, you're right next to the Sunshine Girl, which is good sometimes, right? In person and on the articles.
No, if I was Ari, you know, he's going about it the right way. I would, you know, frankly, he's got to start bullshitting a little bit more because this tax business is really starting to, you know, worry the hell out of me. I'll tell you, $57 billion, when he starts throwing numbers like that around, I say, well, no, thank you. You know, but you know what? I mean, on the other hand, whatever you think of his platforms, they're honest, and you know, that's something you can't say about the whole bunch of them. So,
well, honesty scares voters away, though, because they don't want to have the hard, cold facts. You know, this $57 billion. My God, 57. The fact that you talk about raising property tax, you talk about increasing land transfer, right?
Yep.
And to me, as a guy who just went through this kind of stuff and you know, could barely afford a home, I mean, I want to get mad at you for that a little bit, but I also understand where you want to get the money, because you want to get the city moving and you want to take care of homeless people. You want to give people pets, and you want to make this like a better nation by being realistic about, or you know, when I say nation, obviously city, but about you want to do it.
But it is a nation thing too.
Yeah, it's a nation. Fair enough. Yeah. I think there's like you have this moral compass to you that I kind of want to smash at times. I think it's what Mike's saying.
Yeah. You want to give people pets? What's that about?
No. Listen to this one. This is kind of funny to me, but I get it.
Okay. Are you sure you sure?
How much of those
Am I
pets
sure about what?
No, listen. I'll
explain
tell
it to Mike. This is great. No, I want you guys.
This is your pet platform?
You want Mike?
Yes. What, everybody?
Listen.
How much is that doggy in the window?
Ready? So here's what it is.
$57 billion.
You tell me how much time I have, Todd. You tell me.
Dude, I don't care. I love this stuff because I think it's educational,
so
especially for my listeners. Yeah.
Because it's the thing that has been the most popular.
3 times, please explain it.
So you know what I do for a living. And I have a dog who I got from the Humane Society. He's my love. I love him. I love pets. He rescued me from the Humane Society, not the other way around. Because you know where the Sun Building is, you can walk around downtown, and if you're a lower income person, or you're a homeless person, and you have a dog, you can't get into shelters. If you get into shelters, your dog is likely to be poisoned. You know the rules in TCHC, which is a huge issue in this election. Yeah. You can't have a pet.
Okay.
Most people who have not a lot of most people who don't have a lot of money can't pay their vet bills. and people will say, well, they shouldn't have pets. And you know the statistics. You could study these themselves. If you give somebody who's on the lower end of mental illness, somebody who's homeless, lower income, and they want to take care of an animal, you are actually going. You need me? You can see where I'm going. So
I take it you're going to take all the pets out of River Street there, wherever you're going to get those pets, and give them all to lower income people.
No, not give them all, but they will not let them go to lower income people now because they can't afford vet care. So I put out a policy that I think the city, given that 43 or 48% of Torontonians have pets, I don't think it should just be something that I, who live in Forest Hill, if I want to love a dog, take care of a dog, I don't think it should depend on what my job is or whether I get fired or whether I don't have a career that somebody else does. Now, people can tear that apart. That's fine. That's what I believe. But to me, I'm a big believer in pet ownership. It makes society better, and it actually improves people's lots in life.
What is this? This is a pet in every pot, I think.
No, but it doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost any money. It's simply we have a lot of rules. And Todd, we've talked about this. If you go right now, I think we talked about this the other day. If, God forbid, you lose your job, but you have a pet and you can't stay in your house, and you've got to go to an apartment building that may be $800-900 a month rent, you cannot move with your pet. To me, that's not the Toronto that I envision, and this is a policy that I put out, because this will shock Mike, that actually doesn't involve any dollars and cents. It's just an issue to me sort of social justice and income inequality, and if people want to attack me for that, I could not honestly care less.
Ari, you got to be careful with that, because my campaign to give free-range chickens to the homeless ended up in several lawsuits and delicious sandwiches. It's an overabundance of delicious sandwiches. They went bad. It was tragic.
A lot of pet chickens going to be out there.
No, so that's what it is. So,
there's pet pigs, there's pet ferrets.
No,
there's a lot of
that's very, Ari, that's very moving. Very moving.
Isn't it?
Hold on. Yeah, there. I was waiting.
A pet in every pot. I think, was that Harold, or was that
Truman
or Eisenhower, somebody said that? Pet in every pot.
There's a lot of,
chicken in every
300, 400 square foot apartments that are essentially the size of a pot. So, I mean, maybe it holds true.
Right near where I used to live, Todd, and there's that little parkette at Portland and across from the Thompson Hotel. Most people who have pets there, we put out a whole policy to create a 7-kilometer urban park. I think this is, to me, I'm about quality of life. And if you're in a 400 square foot place and you have a pet that needs to go out, I don't think you should have a little square foot of park to go out. To me, we never talk enough about quality of life. I'm happy to talk about that. Anybody who makes fun of it, again, I'm not changing. I say what I believe.
What about the parks downtown Toronto? How do you feel about those? We have the big one, Trinity Bellwoods. Do you think there could be more to be done for people to enjoy their outside life, get children being active as well?
You and I never talked about this.
That's why I'm asking.
No, I'm going to tell you because this is one of the policies you haven't looked at. So if you go to my site again, and Mike, you can go here.
We get it.
No.
It's the first thing I go to every morning, Ari.
I was going to make no, never mind. I'm zipping it. But if you go, the gardener, you all know, Mike will tell you right now, Mike, how much is it costing if they want? How much would it cost if they want to tear down the gardener?
Billions and billions and billions.
Right, correct. And this is important. So the green ribbon is an urban 7-kilometer deck that's fully costed, engineered by the architectural company called Quadrangle that did the Much Music building, the lofts.
Sure.
It's a deck that goes over the gardener. The cars stay.
Mamalidi had this idea.
No.
Mamalidi wanted to take away all the cars.
No. Excuse me. If you even lump me into Mamalidi, I am never, ever coming back to this show. There is no person on this earth that I am least comparable to that guy.
I saw you guys having dinner the other night at Colette.
You do kind of look alike. I don't know.
Well, never ever say that name to me again. Never, ever. Anyway, so you put the deck over. Everybody downtown on Parks, if I could be, that really got me, because if you ever say that to me again, that's like Denzel Minnan wrong. No, thank you. So, you put a 7-kilometer park over that.
Do you like
garden?
Giorgio Mamalidi? I'm confused.
Are you talking about Armani or Mamalidi? Okay. Mamalidi, no.
Yeah, so much for the return of courtesy to City Hall. You're sounding an awful lot like the Fords.
I'm fine with that. Hey, look. You put that deck over the gardener.
A deck over the gardener.
And it's $800 million. And so when people looked at it, and
So we have the gardener.
You have the gardener.
Which, if you're listening, and I apologize for all our listeners if I'm alienating you. No, I'm alienating a lot of people today, but this is important to the core. On the core of the Todd Shapiro Show fan. But, this is city politics that really, in a way, does kind of translate to all of us, because we all have these issues and stuff. But the gardener's a highway that's terrible. And we can't move it, though, because we need it. You got to go soon, okay? But you want to build above it where it's almost like a tent, a flat tent. It's a canopy. It's a mezzanine.
Self-sustaining. The gardener doesn't close for a year to build it. It's called the Green Ribbon. It's an amazing amazing
I was just thinking of the beautiful views you'd get of Lake Ontario.
Not only that,
and the city. It would
and
be
not
gorgeous.
only that, think of all the people who are in buildings downtown, residential and commercial. So rather than looking down at the cars that don't move, this is above it. And here's the other economic part of it. You don't pay for salt anymore. There's no glare. So all of the things that make the Gardiner hundreds of millions of dollars to fix, which is the salt that is destroying that road.
Strobel, is this ridiculous?
No, he can look it up himself.
And okay, so you're putting how far along the Gardiner would
7
you put
kilometers.
This thing? 7 kilometers of roof on the Gardiner.
It's a deck, and it's $800 million.
Covered by
what? Is it like Cabana downtown? Are there going to be hot chicks?
Butterflies and wildflowers and all that kind of stuff?
Actually, yes.
Wow.
With a bike path, parks, and fully accessible, by the way, to all handicapped people.
All those people could take their pets down there and walk them up and down.
That is correct. You can make fun of it all you want.
I love
That's
it.
correct.
I don't think we are. Is it DVP right to Jameson? Is that
It's
sort of what you're looking?
East End when it comes up.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it comes up to the plateau, it goes all the way to the end where it comes down. It's 7 kilometers. And here's the proof. I didn't set this up.
Well, I know they got something like this in New York that I went to the other day.
It's called the High Line.
Yeah,
it's
it was
the most
awesome.
amazing.
I loved it.
But here's the thing. Whatever you want to say when I walk out, because I got to run, Mike was not set up on that. You were not set up. I said to Mike, how much does it cost to knock the bloody thing down? It's an important piece of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Traffic is so bad. I am completely against knocking it down when we don't have cars anywhere to drive. Billions to knock it down. It's about what, actually, to be serious for a minute, it's 1.3 to 1.8 billion just to knock it down. I mean, serious, just to knock it down versus $800 million to put up and you
want you to talk about all the traffic underneath on the lakeshore when you're knocking it down too. Forget about it. You can't knock it down. That's stupid.
To me, and so there, $800 million for Toronto's version of the thing in New York, and it is different because the High Line doesn't have cars underneath. This achieves two things. It's actually $600-700 million cheaper. And by the way, if it was there today and you looked out your window right now and saw it, nobody would ever say, what did we do that for? That's the failure of vision and leadership.
No, I
in
think
Toronto.
it's super cool, man. I'd
Well,
want to smoke a blunt and go walk on it, man.
Yeah. Well, I would instruct as Toronto as sitting on
I think Ari might have smoked a blunt before he came up with that idea.
I can tell you that sitting on the police services board, I would instruct the Toronto police to not arrest you for smoking said blunt on said green ribbon.
Whoa, so that's a statement to run by, my man.
No, but there you go.
I got a place to leave those extra chickens now, too.
Okay, Ari Goldkind has to go because he is everywhere. I mean, this guy, it's home stretch for him.
I'm actually going to City TV, which is everywhere. So
the debate is that where the debate is?
Yeah, but I'm going on for it to talk about something
before
serious
the debate. And they're going to let you in the building during the debate?
No, they're not letting me in the building. Believe it or not, they're not even letting me in
nuts.
the building.
I
but
can't
that's
believe
okay.
that.
I'm going to go to Ryerson and give a talk about my transit plan because they are very impressed with what I've done. So I will go where I'm wanted.
We got to throw you a party or something just
Monday
for representing
night.
the
Monday
underdog.
night.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to get behind this guy. I'm not necessarily saying I'm voting for you, but just I'm proud of you. Mike, it's pretty neat, this guy.
I tell you, he's got balls. I'll give him that much, which is more than I can say for Olivia.
On that note,
thanks, Ari Goldkind. Good luck. Tomorrow's the last day of the week. If you want to come by and give it one last push before the election on Monday, feel free to do so.
And Mike, by the way, great to see you. Great to talk to you. I really enjoyed that.
You too,
Thank you. Thank you. Guys,
thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Yeah. Strobel, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad.
Yeah,
not too bad. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this garden on top of the garden. Oh boy,
it's a little far fetched, but there is some. At some point, I've seen the Jetsons. Everything builds up at some point, and why not maybe do something that's silly but does give back.
I'll say this for Ari is thinking. That's what I like about the guy. He's thinking. He's got all these kind of things going. I mean, the pets thing. He's probably got the most varied election platform of any of them. Really, the rest of them kind of stick to one kind of theme, and that's it. His mind goes a mile a minute or a kilometer a minute, and you got to admire that.
I think I appreciate those words because you're just a writer, and it could help if you do write about it. But B, you've been involved in it for so long. Have you ever seen a guy like this who really no one knew about? And 4 or 5% of a vote is a lot if he gets that. That's a lot of people. That's in the tens of thousands of people. Which in a small town, you're mayor.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen someone like this?
Yeah, Rob Ford. When you think about it, don't forget Rob Ford came out of nowhere. He was a counselor, but he was sort of an asterisk kind of counselor, and he didn't. Nobody gave him a chance, and everything else, and he won. So yeah, of course you can come. If I were Ari, I'd think about running for council.
I told him that too, to be honest.
Did you? Yeah, that's smart because you know what? Then you understand what goes on down there, and you can start building bridges and and kind of figuring out how it works and then get your stuff done. But it's too late to run now. But maybe next time.
Maybe, and one of the things I'll tell Ari, and to his face, is that maybe he's got to make a decision at some point. Does he continue being a lawyer, or does he really take the city politics full time seriously, which would be the city councilor? And of course, there would be a big jump in
salary, among other things.
Yeah, but I mean, that's maybe where you'll understand if his not only head's in it, which it is right now, but if his heart is truly in it at some point.
Well, if he doesn't go away, he's got 4 years, right? I mean, I hate to tell him, but he ain't going to win on Monday.
No, so he knows that.
Of course, he knows that. Most of them do actually. But if he hangs around for 4 years and he sort of stays in the conversation and does whatever talks and maybe spends a little time at City Hall. I don't think I've ever seen him at City Hall, and stays involved. Then who knows? 4 years from now, maybe we'll be looking for a guy like that.
When are City Hall going to spend some of that $1 billion that it takes to run Toronto and actually put some new nice chairs and things and make, it's so unappealing there to go and visit. It just feels like it was stuck in the set of Lost.
You're talking about City Hall?
Yeah, it looks great. I just think it's so unflattering. Anyone can go in there and stuff. And I don't know. It reminds me of an old library that I went to in high school. Do you think we got to make it a little more modern? Don't you think that's part of the sex appeal? Will get the average voter and maybe more concerned with politics. And I truly stand by that statement.
Well, in its day, City Hall, don't forget, was cutting edge. It was built in the 60s. It was
my point exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for me, the 60s were kind of cutting edge. Come to think of it, but it needs and I bet you're going to see a few other changes down there security wise. Given what's been going on too. So
well, I guess not a planned segue, but your thoughts on obviously what's going on right here in Canada with sort of seems like just homegrown terrorism. We don't, not sure on this latest guy, but it's still pretty free. Yeah, it's pretty freaky. What are some of your thoughts on this?
Well, I think we woke up kind of a different country today than we were yesterday. No question about that. It's not, people are making comparisons to 9/11. It's not 9/11. 9/11 is sort of a one of a kind, but it's sort of an aftershock or an echo of 9/11. And you know what? We'll feel the effects. I mean, hopefully, we don't sort of completely cave in and really change our lives, because you got to live your life. You can't hide in your condo every day. Hopefully won't go to that extent, but there'll be some changes. We'll notice some more security at TTC, some of the things we were talking about, some of those transit things. There'll be more guys with guns, roaming the subways and so forth. It's just reality. But, the other reality is, look at these guys, if they want to do something, they'll do something. They pop up like mushrooms. You can't see them coming. They're whack jobs, and the toughest thing to combat is a lonely whack job.
Well, I think the scarier part about it is, between guns and bombs and suicide bombers and all this stuff, is now that they've sort of figured out, and I hate to even say it because I don't want to encourage anyone, but the car is a massive weapon now, and that happened. I know it's been happening overseas and stuff. Now this is sort of the new way. It's not car bombs. It's just running into crowds. There was in the Middle East, I believe was it in Israel or something? A baby died recently, but 7 people got killed, and that's this. It's just. It's so sickening that they're coming up with these other creative ways to hurt us and try and scare us.
And you know what? It's cowardly as all hell. And that's this is war on a whole different kind of. I mean, they've taken it to depths that I don't think we'd ever imagine. Because basically, it's just whoever happens no matter where you are, you could be walking through a mall, you could be walking down the street, you could be on a subway. They're gonna, if they want to get you, they're gonna get you. And, it doesn't matter whether it doesn't matter whether you're a soldier or not. As far as those guys are concerned, we're all soldiers. You know what? And they'll do whatever it takes to kill as many of us as they can, and that's not good.
Are you proud of how Harper has represented us over the last couple of trying days?
You know what? I have to admit, I've been in this, business for years and years and years. I got to tell you, I don't know if you saw the stuff in the House of Commons today, they're all hugging each other and kind of standing together. I got to tell you, I got a little misty. And I tell you, when the Penguins fans sang "Oh Canada," whoo.
My buddy Regan Watts tweeted that out to me, and he was on the program yesterday. He used to be a senior aide to Jim Flaherty, just a great guy now in the private sector, but. He tweeted that out, and I saw that, and you see it's so. I'm stuttering. I stutter a lot when I try and think of the right words to say, but to see the solidarity that comes from two nations together, and to see the support we have from Britain and just all of it, it's tough that it takes something so tragic to bring us all together. But at least you realize, we got some pretty strong allies, and we're in this together. And there is something that out of the most terrible results, it's nice to know at least that there are people on our side and our team, and that's going to go a long way in the long run, I think.
Yeah, and also the people on our team are no slouches either. You look at the people who tried to help that soldier at the war memorial. Who knows? They didn't know what was going on. Who knows? Maybe there were more shots coming in, and they're jumping in trying to save his life. The sergeant at arms,
Vickers,
Vickers puts his life on the line and does what he's got to do. And there's been a lot of Canadians have handled this pretty well.
Yeah, and in terms of moving forward, is it you said people shouldn't be, it's not like a fear-mongering thing, but people should look out a little more, right? Would you say that's fair to say? People should look over their shoulder a little bit more?
Yeah, that's common sense. That's all it is. You don't change. We shouldn't. If we change our lives really dramatically and we start living in fear, well, guess that's the whole idea. That's what they want. That's why they're called terrorists, because they want to terrorize people. And you know what? If they do that, it's a cliche, but if they do that, they win. And the last thing you want to do is for them to win.
Have you ever been to Israel?
I have not.
I've never been myself, but I've through family, we have a lot of friends and stuff there.
Yeah.
Israelis live their lives, and to the point where they have doors that are unlocked. People can come in. It's all about honesty, and I think that's a great message you point out, where you cannot be afraid. Don't let these cowards get to you and let it affect the way you live your life moving forward, because it's all about enjoying it. It's still a short one, even if it goes quick. And just make sure you enjoy these moments in Canada. I think, and I'll say this, and I haven't traveled too much in my life, but it's still one of the top 3-4 countries in the world, man. It's awesome. We're lucky.
Top 1 or 2.
1 or 2, eh?
Top 1.
Top 1, eh? Yeah, it's got to be the top 1. I mean, Amsterdam was fun.
Yeah, that's a whole different category.
There's definitely one street in Amsterdam. It's a lot better than most of Canada. Just be one street, though.
Actually, there are a couple streets in Amsterdam. And a canal or two that I can...
Yeah, hopefully we don't end up in the canal. Well, Mike Strobel, what can we expect from the some things you're writing on moving forward in this weekend and up to the final election night on Monday?
Total, complete change. You realize that everything to do with sex shows this weekend?
Dude, we have a booth there.
Oh, that's right too. Well, I'll see you there, because I'm going to go down. You know what? Enough doom and gloom and everything else.
Yeah.
Time to write about what most people are thinking about, and that, as always, is sex.
That's 100%, man. And I guess we talk a lot of serious stuff here, and let's just go and have tons of sex this weekend. Is that fair? Let's go make some fucking awesome Canadians that are going to be
fight terrorism. Fight terrorism. Have sex.
There it is.
There you go.
That's all we need to do. And then Olivia Chow, she ran.
Monday. If you have a rough weekend, it's going to be easy.
Her first mistake.
That'd be the best article of all time. Headline of this, page 3 of the Toronto Sun. Olivia Chow, she ran.
And that's the last we ever saw her.
Do you think at this point what happens to Olivia Chow when she loses?
Well, she's out of a job, for starters. I presume, she could always run for... you could run for the House of Commons again, I guess, in the next election. But, she's...
I feel like she makes a good burrito. Just have her making burritos for us.
There you go. Well, it's
Chow's
whatever
burritos.
Whatever it takes to make a living, I guess. I don't know. But
I need a Chow burrito.
The taco business. I can see it in her future. Nice little hat and like a little booth. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. And then she'll still get to the same constituents, and everyone can help her out, and she can still have the same support. But it's over a burrito or a taco.
And she could feed all those starving children she's always talking about.
Which she wants to do. Yeah, if she really wants to do it, she'll make a business where she doesn't mind losing a lot of the profit to really give back in that way.
Do I have to eat a taco filled with bullshit though? Because that would probably taste terrible. I don't know if I want to eat that.
Just so long as nobody is left behind.
No,
let's not leave anybody behind.
Chow's Burritos, I think, going to be a popular franchise one day. I think that's her best move. Lose and go into. Thinking the name's perfect for a food joint. Chow?
Chow? Yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
She's lucky.
Good chow. Good chow.
Good chow.
Good chow.
Holy chow. I think that was done.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Hey, Mike Strobel, man, thank you very much. We'll see you at the Everything to Do with Sex show this weekend. Ms. Barbie Bitch, one of your favorite people, is there.
She'll be there.
And we're going to have a blast with her, of course. We're doing this fet game, the fetish game, too. We're involved with this, so you should come by and maybe we'll learn what Mike Strobel's fetish is. So we'll see you down there this weekend.
I'll bring my leathers and my whip.
Great. And look for him, of course, in the Toronto Sun. This guy is you're a fun writer, and that's the coolest part about you, is that there's a lot of terrible and tragic news in this world. Watching the news is actually the most depressing thing on the entire planet, and you lighten it up a little bit, even though you touch on some tough issues. So thank you for doing that for everybody.
Thank you, Todd.
Okay, thanks to Mike Strobel. Well, thanks to sponsors. Brody, do you have any last parting comments? I always like to go to you at the end of these things after, heated 45 minutes here. Not too heated, but...
I'm really looking forward to see who wins on Monday and who the mayor going forward will be. This campaign has gone on so fucking long. It's finally going to be over, and I'm looking forward to...
Looks like it's going to be Tory.
Do you realize that at least one of the candidates who started off this election has died? That's how... Yeah. I mean, it goes on so long that if you don't want to start, if you're in your 60s, your 70s, you don't want to run, because you probably aren't gonna last until election day.
It is a draining process, man. I respect Tory for seemingly holding it together too. For an old dude.
He looks exhausted though. I caught him sleeping at a debate. He's like just asleep. He's tired. And
he's smarter sleeping though than most people are awake and alert.
Yeah, no, he's a bright guy. He's a bright guy. He's got a good Nick Cavalis, who ran Rob Ford's campaign last time around, is running John Tory's campaign this time, which kind of... Nick Cavalis is a guy to watch. He made Rob Ford win, and he's going to make John Tory win.
Wow.
Totally different kind of candidates, and he's run their campaigns, and he's done a great job with Tory.
Wow.
Good to know. Well, thanks again to Mike Strobel.